Welcome in, everyone, to the Crowded Booth here on a Monday night. College football season is over, but we're talking off season. And when we do that, we have to get over to our list and our rankings. We've gone through head coach rankings, both for the ACC and the SEC, and then overall. And this week kicks off our quarterback rankings. First up with the SEC. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you, obviously not next time. We'll catch you right now here on the Crowded Booth.
Make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
Welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon alongside Ralph Leary and Will Manis. Fellas, before we have to get this thing started off, Will, how are we feeling about the team? Spring is almost here. Well, it's been really cold. I know there too.
He has a game.
It's been very cold.
But it's game week, isn't it? Game week for the middle school St. Luke Lions?
It's the eve of opening day for the St. Luke Lions.
So tomorrow's first game.
First game.
Has the lineup card been filled out already?
Oh yeah.
Did you retrieve more lineup cards?
Filled out.
Well, it's. Do you feel good about the lineup? We'll say that.
I do.
All right.
Gavin and I feel great about it.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Who y'all playing? Calvary?
Calvary.
Is this opening day or is this scrimmage day game? What are we playing?
It's opening day. We ain't got time for scrimmages.
Jeez, this is.
We're gonna have ourselves a scrimmage.
The last time that Will and I were on a baseball field at Calvary, I nearly got thrown out of the game for badgering a geriatric. Gavin says he pleads the absolute fifth, but it is what it is. Welcome in, everyone. College football never sleeps, and Gavin Hart never sleeps. So make sure you like the channel, make sure you like the video as well, and we'll continue to roll through the off season with some good content.
Ban him.
This is wild. Baseball sucks.
Ban him.
That's crazy. Couldn't be me.
Ban him.
Couldn't be me. Let's get into tonight's topic. We're talking obviously about. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up here. Brian Jones says an unathletic white man sport. That white people are the minority in baseball. Actually,
I was going to say that's why it's run by.
Well,
I better stop there.
Yeah, it's just Ralph went ahead and said Dominicans, so there you go. Welcome in.
It's not racially motivated.
No, it's not. It's not. Some people are.
I agree. Gavin just ate lunch.
Just ate lunch. Grilled chicken deluxe with a large fry. There you go. That's not a bad one. Take care of your body. Yeah. Hashtag brought to you by Nova Fitness. All right, so let's.
Not sponsored.
Hashtag not an ad. Let's talk SEC quarterbacks. First off, we have 3 separate rankings. By the way, my ACC head coach rankings got a lot of traction on Twitter on the Xverse today. From a lot of people just having a massive problem with where I put Bill Belichick, but it is what it is. That's okay. Mort's list was elite. FYI, you can join the Discord to see Mort's list. And so we are going to talk about our list. We'll take it and essentially, we're not going to talk about. We'll get put on the stand and we'll be asked questions to kind of go with that, and then we're going to give our highest potential quarterback, like who's a guy that is maybe underrated on our list that we think could move up. And then obviously we're going to talk a little bit about who's a guy that could maybe lose his job. Ralph, you've got a guy that could be maybe interesting that you led on today. That what if he loses his job? What if he loses his job? And
it's a weird potential, but it's there.
It's weird potential. We'll talk about it. Will's going to step away for just a second. So let's get to our rankings. Mine are first. And then I believe I put it in order. It's going to be mine, Ralph's, and then Will. So let's kick this thing off without further ado. Let's talk some SEC quarterbacks. All right, the paycheck obviously did hit, Ralph, so that's where we'll start with this one. You take a look at who's at top. I got Garrett Nussmeier, threw for over 4,000 yards. Probably if he had a run game, LSU would have been a little bit better and a better defense.
Before you finish, has a run game. They just don't trust that run game.
That's true.
Caden Durham is a stud.
Sorry, can't talk about that. Not allowed. Not allowed to talk about not allowed. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. All right, in all seriousness, overall, Garrett Nussmeier is atop my list. This is my list of top 16 quarterbacks in the SEC. And so walk with me, talk with me. What are some questions you have at certain spots, at certain rankings?
I mean, I'm not gonna go and give mine away, but I feel good. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Why Arch over Nico? And I think I have the same thing in mind, but I'm just asking because it's one question, and I got another one for you, and it's just I already know the answer to it though, so because we talked about this earlier. Let's just why is Zach Calzada at the very bottom?
I got you. Okay, so I'm starting off with my conversation about Arch and Nico. I, honest to God, probably meant to put Nico ahead of Arch, but yeah, I'm sorry about that. I think I messed my graph up. What in the LSU Odyssey is this list? I'm not a top LSU content creator, so I can't answer that. Sam, ball knower of the Odyssey. Yeah, you gotta check that out. Someone let Sam know what the Odyssey was. What a time! What a time! So I'm going to explain my Arch over Nico thing here. The fact that I'm going to have to switch it because I thought I put Nico over Arch at 4. And the reason being is just because what we've seen of him so far. I mean, I think Arch is an extreme talent. I think that he's looked okay. Obviously, though he played ULM this past year, looked pretty good. They played Mississippi State, the worst team in the SEC, looked pretty good. Struggled against Georgia's defense, who obviously didn't, except for Notre Dame this year and Ole Miss at times. But Texas that felt like more of a scheme, just a bad matchup, honestly, because Texas struggled literally twice against them offensively. So I like Arch's upside, but I should have put Nico at 4. So that's my question. I think I messed that one up. So my top 4 is Nussmeier, Lagway, Sellers, Nico. For me with Arch, I didn't want to go any higher because we haven't seen a large enough sample size and data point. And so I can't put him in there, in my opinion, over guys that I feel like I've seen play that, that fit the bill. So that's why, Ralph. That's kind of why there. So I know that kind of didn't answer your question. And then you asked Zach Calzada at 16. I mean, look, Calzada at 16, look, this guy's 47 years old.
Awful.
And
Putrid.
He lit up the Southland Conference last year at Incarnate Word.
Last 2 years.
Don't ask Ralph how to say the name of that school because it'll be Incarnate Word or something like that. But
that's exactly how I say it.
It's exactly how Ralph says it because I've heard him say it multiple times. So with Calzada, I think that this is my problem with Calzada. Okay, I don't even know what his floor is. Because. And Gavin says Skybar legend Zach Calzada. You'll have to handle the comments because I'm talking here. But, for me with Calzada, it's like, look, he lit up the FCS and they had a really good season. The last quarterback that came from Incarnate Word was obviously Cam Ward that went to Washington State. We'll kind of see obviously what happens. But I think that with Calzada, for me, it's just the fact that it's like, I don't really know what type of upside he has. And Ralph, like you said this day, it's Kentucky. And Kentucky lost some options in the portal too. So it's like, I don't really know what he's surrounded by. And maybe I'm crazy for putting Bo Prabula ahead of him, but I do feel like, and just kind of reading some stuff, like Prabula's upside is he's, a little more athletic, can run the ball, was kind of a running option alongside Drew Aller. But I'm not super high on Kentucky in general. And I'm not really super high on Calzada as an option. So that's kind of where I went with that, I guess. That's why I felt the need to put him at 16 because I don't know. And I could even say, hey, it's incomplete. Like Calzada and Prabula, and maybe even Simpson at 15 is incomplete. So that's 14 or 13. I'm sorry, with Simpson. So that's kind of crazy. I love how Zach says he just has no upside. That's
bros poo.
That's pretty much what I'm going with. So that's where I sit with that. So, Will, questions? What you got?
I think you and Ralph, you're on the Ty Simpson train over Austin Mack, who Kalen DeBoer brought with him to Alabama.
Well, in my ranking, I do well. Oh, there.
Will's working the phone lines. We got some late free agency deals happening over there. Yeah. Into spring training, rosters being cut across the Chattahoochee Valley area. Will's got to pick up some kids. I'll answer that real quick. Ralph and I put Ty Simpson in. I'm just saying Alabama starting quarterback, whether it's Austin Mack or whether it's not. So to that aspect of it, I'm not really going.
I put Ty Simpson because it's his job to lose.
We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
With Ty Simpson, like it's
if
he was
Simpson's
quarterback all last year.
There's no it doesn't change on the list for me.
Yeah,
because Simpson has not thrown 25 passes in a single season in his career. Austin Mack hasn't even played a single snap yet in general actual action. So
yeah,
I just don't know if I move Ty Simpson or Austin Mack further or higher or lower on that list. The upside for both quarterbacks is extremely high though. So it's a good thing for Alabama going into this year. You have two quarterbacks that have high upside, and you don't know what they're capable of though. So that's a question mark where last year you came in the season, knew what Milrow was going to be, and this year you don't really know.
yeah. Zach asked a question here. He's got a question for me. Simmons, a guy you think can exceed expectations or carry the torch? I think that's a great question. Look, I know that I'm probably maybe hyper focusing on that one drive against Georgia, right? But I think that Simmons,
it's the only time we saw him play in actual time and just actual gameplay, and the dude balled out for a single drive that gave Ole Miss the edge they needed to win that game. It's a significant drive of their season, and it goes unnoticed for people who didn't watch that game. They don't understand that drive helped it beat Georgia. Honestly,
no, it did. And look, he came in a pinch, and I just think this is where I sit with Austin Simmons, and a lot of the conversation centers around why do you think he's better than Gunnar Stockton? I think now I'm going to hear you here. Okay, we're talking about when we talk about this, okay, or at least when I'm talking about these rankings, I'm talking about the actual quarterback. Okay, like the actual player playing the position, not taking into account the scheme and the fit, just like what he is as a quarterback. I think Austin Simmons offers more athletic upside than Gunnar Stockton. And so I think that you just in terms of the arm talent, in terms of what he can bring to the table, I like that. And our friend Johnny Reed says Simmons feels like a big boom candidate. It certainly could be. I mean, with Lane Kiffin, they're going to have some weapons. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Oxford. So that's why I've got Simmons kind of sitting at number 10. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this. And I will, because it's my name's on the show. So, so number one for Garrett Nussmeier. And Ralph, I think that we're similar in some of our categories here, but
yeah, I mean, their top four is basically the same.
Yes. So for me with Nussmeier, it's I said this today, and I could be wrong. Maybe this is too bold, but with Nussmeier, for me, this just feels like an example, or this is the guy that is the most likely to be the first quarterback taken out of the SEC. Like, I think if a draft was had, now obviously Lagway's not eligible, right? Okay, Lagway's not eligible to be drafted. Some other guys aren't, but I think Nussmeier could have
eligible guys.
Yeah, the eligible guys, and that's including Arch Manning, who is eligible for the draft in 2026. I guess is the correct term. So this is his draft eligible year. I just think Nussmeier has put up great numbers. I watched a lot of them. Now there is some high risk, high reward. He makes a lot of off-platform throws that makes Joe Sloan, makes LSU fans a little bit nervous. # can't talk about it. But I think that one of the big things is you've got a returning guy, Ralph, that threw for 4,000 yards. Like you just can't ignore the fact that he led the SEC in yardage. He threw touchdown passes. Maybe he was a little more willing to run in bigger moments towards the end of the season. And with him returning, and I mean, like, I don't want to get too high, obviously, on LSU in general, but can't talk about it. But, I think just in general, what Nussmeier brings to the table, you could say, hey, he's a guy that, like, he's got the tools, and then he's also got some data points that support that to where you can combine them. And that's why he's my number one. And then I'll just kind of end it right here with my piece on it. Look, I'm going to post this on social media. I think I'm going to catch some flack from some South Carolina fans that I've got Lenore Sellers under DJ Lagway. I think Lenore Sellers is a beast. Okay. Like I think he is really, really good. I think DJ Lagway is a bona fide star. And I know that we saw a smaller sample size of him, but I think Lagway is a better passer than Lenore Sellers. Sellers is the better runner. But in terms of the quarterback position, if things go right in Gainesville, DJ Lagway is a guy that could lead that team. He has that amount of talent. He could lead that team to some significant postseason opportunities. I'll put it that way. Look, I saw Lagway in person last year play LSU. I mean, dude. I mean, Ralph, you've seen it on TV. Like that,
He's
the
a baller, man.
dude can sling it. And he's got some zip on the football.
He's got
He is
he's got what they call swagger, and too,
Yeah.
that goes unnoticed this day and age because people don't like quarterbacks that go out there. But he's very humbled about it. He goes out there and plays his game, and and he's not flashy about it, but he will beat you. And it's you don't win Gatorade National Player of the Year for nothing. I know they say that about a lot of quarterbacks, but it means something when you're that good. Out of every high school quarterback in the country.
Yeah. No, so that's kind of where I sit that. I mean, we'll get into some guys on my list that I think could be risers, but that's kind of where I sit with my list. So without further ado, Ralph, let's move over to yours.
Yeah.
We're going over to Ralph's list. And Ralph, like I said, at the top, different order, but looks similar to what you got going on. So
And my question to you first is the pointless.
You're asking me a question off of your list.
No, I'm saying my first question for you earlier was pointless because now look at my list at number 2. Because I said I'm contradicting myself for asking this question, but I was like I had to ask him something. So I'm standing by what I have here. I like this list. I have Nussmeier at 1. I told Bryce I could probably make a 1 and then a 2A, a 2B, and a 3 looking on the outside. Honestly, I have Arch and DJ Lagley basically the same. Small sample size last year. Obviously, Lagley had more game time than Archman did, but I think Arch has got a lot of talent around him this year. I think what he is done the last 2 years as a backup, learning from Quinn Ewers, learning under Sarkisian. Playing in SEC gameplay, playing in the SEC championship game occasionally, taking a few snaps. He runs well. He has a cannon for an arm. He's a smart quarterback. I mean, I know I don't like to play the game where who your family is plays into this. But when you have 2 of the greatest NFL quarterbacks as your uncles, ball. You have to say it. He knows what he's doing. He understands the game. Lagway, obviously the upside, you said it perfectly. You saw him in person. There's so much upside with this kid. He's so talented. They're getting better options. I'm really excited to watch him play. I want to go through my top 4, and I know Sam's in here, and he's gonna be wondering why I have the Lenora Sellers over Nico.
I mean, I had him over Nico too. So
I'm gonna tell you right now why. Dylan Sampson. I just did not see enough of Nico doing what Nico is possibly capable of doing last year. Because when he had to carry the team, I think he struggled in moments, and especially that playoff game against Ohio State when Dylan Simpson went down, Nico did not play a very good game. I think going into this year, we'll see a really good sample size of what Nico's capable of doing against good talent. I can't tell that when he's playing Kent State, putting up 70 points. I don't count that as any kind of eye test for him. So Lenora Sellers is a baller. He plays so well, runs hard. He is a guy you want to have the ball in his hands 4th quarter, last drive. I feel like he's going to get down to the scoring position. He's going to get you to field goal position. He's going to do something. He's going to do whatever it takes. Yeah. Now we go to my back half of my list, and I like I said about Ty Simpson. It's the thing is I just don't know who's going to be quarterback. That doesn't change the position of who Ty Simpson or Mac is it because they're still the same quarterback in the mid because neither one of them's played yet, really. So, and I know Will probably asked me why I have Jackson Arnold over Taylor Green. It's just weapons around him, honestly. Jackson Arnold, I think, is going to have a great year at Auburn.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying this. He's going to have a good year. Is he going to be in a year where they go undefeated? No. They're going to struggle. He's going to struggle in some games. He's not perfect, but he's going to have a good year. He's a good quarterback. He was thrown to tight ends and financial advisors last year. Now he's going to throw to the actual real receivers this year.
I'm going to say this, and Johnny Reed says this, like, it doesn't mean he's going to be great, but you have to, the context of Oklahoma's offensive situation has to be taken into account for people who don't know, and that's fine if you don't know. They literally had their entire starting core of receivers out multiple games, and he literally had to force feed Bauer Sharp, who's now at LSU. Yeah. They didn't. It wasn't a great situation. Now, it doesn't mean he's not going to be good, I don't think. Right. but it just we don't know. Like you got if he fails at Auburn, okay, then it's like he's probably not what we thought he was because Auburn has the talent to be able to support that. I believe at least in the skill position places.
And that's why I have Blake Shapen at 16 because obviously I think that his backup last year, Van Buren, was way better than him. That it proved in that Georgia game. That kid balled out against Georgia. Threw for like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against Georgia's defense on the road. For a team that had the lowest opportunity to beat a team on the road this year. There's just no one around him to help. It's not Blake Shapen's fault. He's in a situation where there's no really upside right now for him.
Yeah,
and like Calzada and Pabula, there's just like also with Ty Simpson to me. I just don't know where they're at. Calzada, he's a veteran quarterback, which is weird to say for college football.
he really truly is.
Yeah, Pabula is Trace McSorley 2.0, but now he's at Missouri, so it kind of defeats the whole purpose. Obviously, Penn State had him going to be the starting quarterback this year, but Drew Aller decided to stay. Which, if you go back and watch any of the football games or the playoff games, they had Drew Aller going as a high draft pick for some odd reason.
Yeah.
So, but and one I'm kind of I'm stumped on Bryce, since I don't know why I put Austin Simmons so low. I just think it's because it's a very he's not going to have the weapons that now they got some good players, but he has no Trey Harris there.
Yeah, he's not going to have the weapons Dart did. We don't think. Proven.
I just don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know who they have there. And I know this is a pure quarterback thing, and Simmons is talented. He's got a weird release. It makes me a little curious going forward against some of these really talented defenses. Is that going to make him struggle? Is that going to have a backlash for him? Is it going to take too long for him to release his football? Because Jackson Dart can get it out fast.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude is going to be a star in the NFL, in my opinion. I think he's one of the higher end quarterbacks, and he always has been before the senior day or before the Senior Bowl, before all the practices. I think he would have been high on my draft list in the first place because of this pure talent he progresses. So,
here's the question that I've got. You and I talked about this a little bit, and Gavin asked it too. Taylon Green at 11. So Taylon Green below Arnold.
Taylon Green has got a cannon for an arm. He's a very dynamic quarterback.
Yeah.
I think it's because of what happened last year. No one really had much film on him. Going into this year, there's a lot more film on him. I think teams are not going to take him lightly. I just don't see him having a breakout year like he did last year. I just do not see it with him this year. I think he's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's worse than anybody else on this list. Truthfully, I just don't know if he can do it again. I don't think there's a do-over for him.
And if he does, credit to Bobby Petrino, right?
Yeah, if he does, just telling me I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean,
no, honestly, I agree with you.
No, I just don't know if Arkansas can do it again with him at quarterback and beat some of the teams they beat last year. Like beating Tennessee at home, great win.
Yeah,
you can't beat Tennessee on the road next year with Taylon Green at quarterback. Just in my opinion.
Oh, I like it. Coming from the top row.
I think Taylon Green's a freak. I mean,
he's freaky. Yeah, he's a good athlete.
He's a great athlete. If he can, sharpen up a little bit. Ralph's taking it a totally different direction. Not surprised. Get out of the couch cushion.
No. I'm reading a comment. I saw I'm reading one comment at the bottom because I want to show it, but I'm waiting.
Oh, wait. Yeah, wait. Don't show that one yet.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing. That's the only reason why.
No, I like Taylon Green a lot, and we'll see that with my rankings. Yeah.
I mean, other than that, I like this list. I really do. I like, I'm high on Marcel Reed also. Him at 7. If you probably asked, I saw a list earlier where I looked online and I had Marcel Reed at 11, 10, 11, which shocked me because the kid's very young, very talented, and who's stupid fast. And LSU learned that real quick.
Good. That was. We can't talk about it. Sorry. I had to plead the fifth on that.
Yeah.
No, but the thing with Marcel Reed for me, and you got him higher than I did. Like if I go back, Ralph, I had Reed at 11.
9.
I don't love him as a passer. That's the thing in terms of I don't love him as a passer over.
Taylor Green.
I'll be real with you. I think this might be crazy. I think Stockton is a better passer of the football. And Gavin says that, Reed needs to cut down the turnovers. He'll be fine with Zach Nagy Payne. We can't talk about that, by the way. Zach did the live post game show from Kyle Field with me this past year. Yeah, I mean, I think for me with Reed, it's just the passing that kind of makes me nervous about it. But I don't know. I don't have a problem with the back half of yours. I mean, if any I feel like, and I think the one commonality in all of our rankings is probably that 14, 15, 16. I don't remember Will's is probably the same combination, just in different ways. Is that true? Like, is that we're all pretty like, yeah, it's Blake Shapen and it's the two new guys in terms of like the transfers that we don't really know about. Like, we know John Mateer, and I know someone mentioned earlier something about John Mateer. He goes, Reggie says Mateer hasn't played in the SEC, but he looked good.
Yeah, I think that's just the thing about Mateer is that he just, it's a small, he played at Washington State last year. He's a solid quarterback.
Yeah, that G5 Washington State, man.
I know there's a guy in here who is very high on him and wishes he was somewhere else instead of college he's at right now.
Yeah.
He wishes he was at the school he pulls for.
Doesn't Gavin wish he was there?
Yeah, Gavin's in here.
Oh, I was like, who are you talking about?
Yeah, no, not Will. Gavin wanted John Mateer over
Gavin
Jackson Arnold for Auburn.
Yeah.
I think it's fair. The only thing you talked about the only 2 points I would bring, stop talking about me. Taylor Green, for me, I think Taylor Green's better than Jackson Arnold as of right now. And I think Taylor Green's we can have a real conversation about. I think we could have a conversation. And am I crazy here, Will? You can get in on the action. I think we could have a conversation about Taylor Green being better than Marcel Reed. Is that crazy? Am I in terms of a quarterback? Now, Marcel Reed's elite with the run game, but is that crazy? Is that dumb? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
Reed also had a weird sample size too last year, which was kind of weird.
He did. I mean, I kind of view Marcel Reed and Taylor Green if we're tier ranking these, if we were put them on a tier list, they'd be in the same tier. I mean, they're very similar in the way they play. Their style of play is very similar. I think Green is maybe a little bit better of a passer. It's just so it's hard to say who's better of those two. Their strengths seem to be the same. Their weaknesses kind of seem to be the same.
I will say though, Taylor Green was 5th in the SEC in passing yards, so he can throw.
Bobby Petrino, he'll air it out. He airs it out. A&M, Colin Klein relied on the run game. I think in the second half of the season a little bit more than Bobby Petrino did, calling the plays for Arkansas. So there's probably a little bit of that there. But yeah, Taylor Green is a really, really good quarterback. I think Ralph, you got him. I think you got him too low.
I wanted to ask this real quick, and we were talking about this. And Ralph, you got him at 14. I think I had him at 13. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of disrespect on Shapen's name because Shapen only played 4 or 5 games last year, right? He got hurt, and Michael Van Buren had to play. And who's the backup at LSU? Can't talk about it. But I think that I'll stop. I'm sorry. Apologies. Hand up.
He played in 4 games.
Played in 4 games. Like, they went 1-3. Mississippi State had some of the least amount of talent in the SEC, but he threw for 974 and 7 touchdowns or 8 touchdowns. So it's like, I don't know. I would put Shapen, and I don't want to disrespect. I just put Shapen as incomplete. Like, he's only played 5 games in the conference on a really, 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 really just not a great football team. I mean, they got blown out. He also lost to Toledo, so I think that also has to do with it too, probably. So
not by Toledo.
I mean, we did see him play at Baylor. Now Baylor is, I mean, like in the Stone Age when it comes to offense at the moment, and when he was there last year. But I haven't seen really anything from Blake Shapen that makes me think he's going to, come in and be a good, effective SEC quarterback.
I mean, I said this the other day. I think Michael Van Buren's better than him at the quarterback
That's
position.
why he was the starter.
Yeah. Gavin from Arkansas. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I said, granted, it took 4 games and an injury, but I mean, there's a reason Shapen didn't get the job back.
Well, look what he did against Georgia, Van Buren. I mean, that was something too. So, no, Ralph, I think that you kind of answered my questions on that. I mean, and then the Taylor Green thing. Will, you got anything else before we move to yours?
Why is Jackson Arnold so high?
Look, I said you were gone when I think
You don't
I
have
said
to
that.
answer that.
No, I mean, you were gone when I said it. I just think what he had at Oklahoma just doesn't compare what he has this upcoming season, talent wise around. I think he's a good quarterback. It's hard to just say what he did at Oklahoma this past year, which is the sample size we could take. Because I think he's a good quarterback, but throwing the Bauer Sharp only is not helpful for anybody. Yeah. He's a good tight end, but if you start doubling Bauer Sharp, who are you throwing to? Your running backs? Not really.
Yourself.
He was a good game manager against Alabama. Just hand the ball off and run it. That's all he had to do. He didn't have to throw very much anyway. But I think he'll have a better chance in Auburn this year to really kind of excel in his game. So I'm really excited to see what he does there at Auburn. But other than that,
Well, can I say this statement that I read of it was an early scouting report. I don't think it was 24/7 Sports that did it. A scouting report of Jackson Arnold. And does it sound familiar to the guy that Auburn had last year? Ready for this? Mm-hmm. He can run well and has a good arm, but really seems unwilling to take a risk in the passing game. Can be indecisive and fumble and tends to fumble the ball a little bit.
His interceptions, huh? That's much fumbles.
I mean,
but also Pete in the background is chilling out.
Just hanging out on the new setup there for Will. That sounds a little too close to home. All right, let's move over to Will's. All right, how about it? Let's move over to Will's here. And
are you ready?
Nope.
Nobody's ready for this list.
Now, I just wanted to say this. We had a conversation about this today, and I kind of understand. Okay, what's the people? Never mind. Let's just throw it out there. All right. There's no explanation. It just is what it is. We get to ask questions. I'm going to say it right here. I'm curious to what makes Diego Pavia your number one quarterback. Well, let's just clip it right here, okay? What makes Diego Pavia your number one quarterback in the SEC entering 2025?
I mean, you look at Diego Pavia, he's got it all. I mean, now what he lacks in passing, he more than makes up for in heart. He's got more grit than any quarterback in the SEC. The dude has won. I mean, he's won everywhere he's been. He won at New Mexico State. He won in junior college. He won at Vanderbilt. I mean, he willed Vanderbilt to a bowl win. I mean, just think of what he could do anywhere but Vanderbilt, right? I mean, and you think, just listen to his stats. I mean, you think, oh, Diego, he's not very good. He just runs the ball. He completed 60% of his passes, 20 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. I mean, that ratio is one of the best in the SEC. I don't have everybody else's numbers up, but that's one of the best in the SEC. He takes care of the ball. He does what Vanderbilt asks him to do, and he wills his teams to win. And you can't teach that, and it's really hard to get that out of a lot of guys, and he's already got it. And, going into 2025, there's not another quarterback in the SEC that I'd rather have playing for my team.
They have that. I don't know who did. It's Bill Conley. They've got that dog ranking that they came out with this year, and I believe Pavia took home the honors. And I'll say this: look, you've got some people in here who look. Johnny Reed. He says, I mean, he has won at a place that doesn't win. That has, and look, we each have our own criteria for why we picked our top 10, top 16, or whatever quarterbacks in the SEC. The Pavia thing for me, and I guess the one question I have is, Will's essentially valuing winning. So to Reggie's comment, but if you stacked him against those, would he do better than us at LSU? It's more of he's been successful, and I think what he brings to Vanderbilt. I mean, I'd argue, I would put him at number one in terms of the most important quarterback to his team. I think that he might be that head and shoulders, not even a conversation in the SEC. They have to have him. Gavin says he did beat the NCAA, which is impressive in that. So, look, there you go, Diego Pavia. I am curious to Arch Manning at 9. That'll be my second question.
Well,
is it just the unproven? Just hasn't really. Or go ahead.
Before I get to that, I want to address Reggie's comment head on. Would
Go
he
ahead.
do better than Nuss at LSU? I mean, just taking, cherry picking stats. That's what we do around here. Nuss had 29 touchdowns and 12 picks. A worse ratio than Pavia, obviously more touchdowns, but 3 times the number of interceptions. And you think about Pavia, having to do everything for his offense. He had to, could force the ball. Nussmeier obviously forced the ball a lot. I think Nussmeier had a much better supporting cast around him than Pavia. So, I mean, I think if you just swap those two, LSU probably gets it. It's hard.
They go 8-4 with them probably.
It's impossible. I mean, to make this comparison because it's impossible.
Too many factors.
I mean, LSU probably wins at least one more game, with Diego Pavia instead of Nussmeier. I mean, because Pavia I would think, would throw less interceptions.
No,
And I feel like both of them kind of have that same chip on their shoulder where they're going to try to will their team to win. And Pavia was more effective.
Ralph, did you want to ask Arch at 9?
You already asked it. You're good. Go ahead.
So I guess, the next one's Arch at 9.
Yeah. So I'll preface about Arch with, kind of my whole kind of view on SEC quarterbacks. It's a lot of incompletes. I feel like, you look at half of the SEC is going to be installing a new quarterback in their offense. 9 through 16 are all going to be, Shapen started 4 games, the first 4 games Mississippi State, but really it's going to be brand new starters for all 8 of those teams. So it's kind of an incomplete. Yeah, Arch played against Mississippi State. He played against ULM. He got in and mainly ran the ball in other games. I just don't. You see, Pete got up, so of course, chaos is going to ensue. Thankfully, it didn't. To me, just the huge gulf of talent between Texas and Louisiana Monroe and Texas and Mississippi State didn't show me a ton to really think that Arch is Arch is really, really good, but I haven't seen enough, consistently. Yeah, he did play against Georgia, got several drives, did absolutely nothing. Georgia's defense just stifled Texas's offense. No other defense did that all year to Texas. But I didn't see enough. If he does better against Georgia, yeah, he's a top 6 quarterback. But to me, he didn't do enough, and it's really more of an incomplete. And I kind of, my rankings are kind of split. Guys returning and first-year starters. I think Arch is by far the best first-year starter for these programs. I know I have Mateer at 7, which is the outlier for that. But, that's why Arch is ahead of all the other people on the right side of this list.
Yeah. That's a valid thing. I will say this, and I want to ask this. We haven't talked about this a lot yet. We all have Gunnar Stockton in the same 9 to 12, 13-ish range. Why is that?
Bryce, I'll say it because you and I talked about it earlier.
Go ahead.
Is Gunnar Stockton does not have to be the best player on his team. He's and Bryce compared him to Stetson Bennett ish. Is as a game manager, he's not going to have to be because Georgia relied too much on Carson Beck the last 2 years.
He tried to relied on himself too much.
Yeah, Carson Beck tried to think he was the reason why they won games. I don't think Stockton's that guy. I think he's a guy who's going to go out there. If he has to hand the ball 40 times a game, he'll do it. But he'll also pull a few and make some big first downs, and he'll make a few passes where he put themselves in a good position. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He's not the best quarterback. And Bryce, I'm not going to say it because we're saving for later. He's a good quarterback. There just might be someone better.
He has the record for Georgia high school passing yards. So he's definitely a good quarterback. But my question is you say he's a game manager, but are Georgia's receivers? You compare him to Stetson Bennett, but Stetson Bennett was obviously elevated by 2 NFL wide receivers. Does Georgia have 2 NFL wide receivers? Is Gunnar Stockton going to have to be the best player on that offense? And to me, if he is, we're going to see more of the same from Georgia. I mean, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for them, and that's not to take anything away from Gunnar Stockton. He's just inexperienced. If it's like the Notre Dame game, might be a long season for Georgia, which a long season for Georgia these days would be what, 9-3, 10-2. Would be a long season for them. But is the supporting cast there? That's the question.
Yeah, I think, and I was just searching this real quick about Stockton. I mean, we all kind of said the same thing in a little bit. I likened him to Stetson Bennett in the role that he could play, point guard.
Yeah.
Okay, like that's where I think that I'll tell you this. I think that's where Georgia's best. Georgia is best having their quarterback just be a guy that facilitates, can move around a little bit, and doesn't need to be the focal point of the offense. And I think Georgia got too quarterback centric under Carson Beck, like Ralph said earlier. And so the question is, like you said, Will, like, are they going to have the options emerge that allow them to be what they were in 21 and 22? I think Georgia's defense is going to be better. They got to figure out the running back spot. Offensive line is losing some guys. They've got talent in house, but how does that develop? So, I mean, we might be. I think Stockton is. You hit the nail on the head when you said this earlier, Will. Like, there's just a lot of incompletes. Okay, like Gunnar Stockton. Do I think he's bad? No, I don't. Do I think he's amazing? No, we don't really know. Like, he looked good, looked bad. Okay. I'll say this: I think he's got the mentality of the quarterback that Georgia wants. Now, whether it works out or not, we'll see. But yeah, no, I mean, look, hey, it's a list, and that's how we look at it. Okay, let's answer this question before we get out of here because I've got two for us here. So let's go with the first one. The most underrated SEC quarterback in your mind entering 2025? Well, I'll go with you. So essentially a guy on your list that you think could really rise up your rankings when we take a look at it after the season. Just as a guy that, like, we're kind of talking about him, but man, he's got a potential to really jump up.
I think it's Taylor Green. And Gavin commented earlier about how they're losing their two of their top receivers from last year. So obviously this could really backfire because his supporting cast probably won't be as good as it was last year. But I think Taylor Green is one of those special athletes playing the quarterback position. I mean, he's a dude you can barely bring him down in the pocket if you get to him. And we know Arkansas is going to have a good offensive line with Sam Pittman. That's just their identity, right? They're going to be able to protect the quarterback. And if you get to him, you flush him out. He can run. I mean, he's a true dual threat. Probably the biggest dual threat in the conference. Just because of his size.
Well, yeah, you mean by size wise or the biggest threat?
I would say he's the biggest threat because, I mean, he's so hard to bring down.
Mateer hasn't done in the SEC, but he's got better numbers in terms of dual threat. So that, yes, in terms of the return, yeah, I'm cool with that. Mateer actually put up what Ralph, we said nearly 4,000 total yards combined between, and had more passing touchdowns. But it's you got to know the competition, and it's different. But Green's a big dude.
that's why I'm so hesitant on Mateer. I know I had him at number 7, but just you look at who Washington State played. I mean, anyway, they played Washington, they played Oregon State, and Mountain West.
Champions, dude. Conference champions.
Yeah, and played a bunch of Mountain West teams, and one of them was not Boise, which was head and shoulders, obviously the best team in that conference. But I know, see, Gavin says Lenore Sellers. I think Taylor Green's a better passer than Lenore Sellers. I think defenses have a better chance of slowing down Lenore Sellers than they do Taylor Green, because Taylor Green, I think, is a guy that can do it all.
Yeah. All right. Ralph, most underrated SEC quarterback entering 2025.
I'm going Austin Simmons. I was going to put Taylor Green, but since we'll take it, I'm just going to go ahead and go Austin Simmons. I have him low on my list because I just don't know if he has the same amount of talent as Jackson Dart did there, and the expectations Ole Miss really has going into this year. But he's got all the tools to do it. He's a solid quarterback. He's fast. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's pretty accurate. He could play the game. He's not scared of stepping into the spotlight. I just want to see him do it. I can't more than just drive. More than just handing the ball a few times and making a few passes in the rain. I need to see a full 4 quarters out of him, and I think we're going to see a lot of that this year with him. And I'm just excited really for Austin Simmons because it's been Jackson Dart for the last 3 years at Ole Miss, and that's really all we've known. It was pretty clear though that Walker Howard wasn't the guy after this year or midway through the season because we just never saw him play. I think you could have said 2 years ago when Walker Howard transferred from LSU to Ole Miss that he was a clear front runner to take over for Jackson Dart whenever he left, and man, Austin Simmons exploded onto the scene when he got there, and Lane Kiffin's a huge fan of him, and they got a really talented team again this year. Running the ball is going to be fun for Ole Miss this year. I think you'll see more running game than they did pass game in the past few years, but Austin Simmons is a different quarterback we're not used to seeing much in the SEC. He's a baseball player too, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure.
He's a lefty pitcher. I don't know if he's still on the team or not. But I know he pitched last year. Yeah,
I don't think he's playing this year. But he is. And Johnny just asked that question: is he pitched too? I don't think he's pitching anymore. I think once he kind of saw that he was going to be the starting quarterback, I think Lane shut that down pretty fast. And it's time to focus on the sport you're going to be playing, all year. So I like Austin Simmons. I think he's going to have an excellent year. What it holds for him this year, I have no idea, but anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and I think Simmons is just a really, really good athlete, right? Like he's just a really good athlete. Johnny asked, "Does Simmons pitches too?" I don't know if I don't think he plays baseball anymore.
Not anymore.
But no, he did. He was pretty good, a little left-handed pitcher. Also, I have to pull this up because this is hilarious. Reggie says that Sellers is also a freak. They should have beat LSU. And do you remember Robbie Ashford?
Nope.
Ashford came into that game for.
The meme where it's like the Chihuahua, but it's like with Vietnam like superimposed behind him.
Yeah,
that's me when you say Robbie Ashford.
Oh gosh, that's great. Okay, when I look at mine. This might be crazy. I might catch some flack. I'm going to be real with you here because I sat in August and we talked about serious dark horse contenders, like if things bounced right about who could go to the playoffs. And I sat on here and I talked about someone's favorite team from the SEC, and I said, "Look, it could happen." And this person said, "You're an idiot. It can't happen." I have Jackson Arnold at number 12 on my list. And I strongly believe that Jackson Arnold could rise up the rankings. Well, let's be real here. Like, could Arnold be one of the top 10 best quarterbacks in the SEC in 2025? I think so. Now, a lot of this has to go with the offensive line, right? They have to be better. You have died on hill after hill talking about this. And I think you were off the show when we were talking about this, but I don't know if you could hear us. I did say about Arnold, like, you have to understand the situation that he was in last year. Like, it was complete mess. Like, Auburn has good skill talent. Am I wrong? Like, they've got the skill talent to help him out. They got this kid from Atlanta, by the way. Apparently he's a track athlete. Guy can play the slot outside receiver, was pretty good in the ACC. Had like over 1,400 yards in 2 years. Pretty good football player. You got Cam Coleman. If the offensive line is better, Jackson Arnold can be a top 9-8 quarterback in the SEC. Like, that can happen. And for me, that is a jump up. Now, when I say the most underrated, maybe that's the wrong terminology I'm putting on here, but I just think that he's just undervalued because of a bad situation. I'm not saying it's going to be great. I'm not saying Auburn's going to Atlanta. I'm not saying Auburn's going to the playoff. I just think a lot of people are like, yeah, whatever. But it's like, you got to understand, the kid still has the talent, but does he develop? We'll have to see. I mean, like, that for me is just, I don't know. Maybe I'm hyping it up too much, but that's how I feel about Jackson Arnold. I don't think he's awful. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think you just lose whatever makes you good. Now, if he's bad this year, you gotta move on. Like, you got to play somebody else. But I don't know. You want to echo anything about that, Will?
I mean, I might have a hot take. I can't think of when Auburn's bye week is, but it would not. I guess this isn't a hot take or really even a prediction. It would not surprise me if Deuce Knight was starting after Auburn's bye week. I would not be surprised.
I think there's a very low floor and a very weird ceiling with Jackson Arnold. So yeah,
only because I mean, yeah, we've seen Arnold in the SEC. Yes, Oklahoma was just a disaster offensively last year in every sense. But that's the pressure that Hugh Freeze is under in 2025. I mean, if Jackson Arnold is bad to mediocre, there's no way there's no way he should be the quarterback the whole season, and that's my concern. And I feel like I don't know, and all the hype surrounding Jackson Arnold by a lot of the national media, just because I feel like he has to be really good to live up to some lofty expectations that are probably unfairly being placed on him.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you in the sense of you can't waste time. Like, you got to know pretty early on if Arnold's your guy or not. Will wants to believe.
What do I want to believe?
That Jackson Arnold's the guy. Like,
I want to believe it. Never mind. I'm not going to get that negative.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Gavin says Singleton, Coleman, Simmons, and Thompson is the 4 best receivers in the conference. I'll give you Singleton and Coleman as maybe the top duo, one of the top duos in the conference. I think that, I low-key think LSU could make a case. Aaron Anderson was a dude this past year. Nick Anderson. I don't know. It's that, but I give you Singleton and Coleman.
That paycheck.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Check cleared.
So,
Bryce just checked his bank account.
Yeah.
Doubled it this week with making Dustmeyer number 1.
There you go. Yeah, I got double the funds. Yeah. Well, okay. All right. Who's a guy that now, Ralph? I know you're going to. I just want to say this before we start. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to pronounce the guy's name who you're talking about before or after you say it? Because I know how to pronounce the guy's name. You said it earlier. You mispronounced it. Which quarterback could lose their job? We will let Will talk about more on what you just talked about. But Ralph, do you want me to tell you?
I got it. I know it. I got it.
All right. He's going to try this. Now, Will, you're not going to agree with this take. I don't know if I agree with it either. But it would be
to me, it's the only one that I'm confident in saying besides Ty Simpson at all, because.
But that's a true quarterback battle more than
that's the only one I think actually that I'd see happening anytime soon. Mine's Gunnar Stockton, Ryan Puglisi. Is that right?
Look at that, you did it. You said something today.
Don't worry.
I don't know what you said, but it is take it away.
But look, I've heard from pretty good sources in Georgia that Ryan Puglisi is a dog. He's a great player. They love the kid. Ever since he stepped on campus, they knew they got the right guy. And I was saying that when Dylan Raiola decommitted and went to Nebraska, they said they got the right guy in Puglisi. Right now, I think Puglisi could start in the SEC and be talented enough to lead a team, not to a playoff. I'm not going to say all that stuff, but the kid's good. The kid's really good. And I'm not saying Gunnar Stockton's bad, but if he's not performing to the level Georgia wants to, Kirby's okay with moving on. Kirby wants to win. He's not sitting there saying, well, I gotta wait for my quarterback to play better. No, I think he will move on from Gunnar Stockton if he has to. Stockton's been there for what now? This will be going to his 3rd year at Georgia, right? 3rd technically year at Georgia, if I'm correct.
2nd year, I think.
Is this the 2nd year?
Yeah, he was a freshman this past year, I thought.
No, this is a sophomore year this past year. True, like actual sophomore. He's been there for 3 years now. This will be going to his 3rd year. I think so. No. He because he early enrolled in practice with them before the Orange Bowl. Puglisi's going into his sophomore year. I was talking about Stockton.
Oh, Stockton. Apologies. Yeah.
Stockton going into this year.
Stockton's going into year 75. Have you seen the truck he drives? Good God.
Well, Will should love that, honestly. But I like Stockton. I think he's a good quarterback. But if there's a quarterback, in my opinion, that loses his job this year, it could be him. And it's a hot take, obviously, but Puglisi's a guy I think that Georgia's okay with moving on with, and I think his tool set is insane. The kid's insanely good. So
Ken Hendricks says that I think Stockton is set to stump, but Puglisi is going to make him work. Gavin says Stockton's a senior this year. Ralph, that's not crazy. Like, I mean, we
For
heard they
now,
were super high on
Till
Puglisi.
he magically gets another year of eligibility next December.
Well, Stockton has
another year, 2 more
he
years.
should have 2 at least. Yeah, this year and next year at least. I
But it
think.
feels like he's been there for 4 years already. Because he's just been a backup for
Because
he
he
was
has.
behind. Yeah, because he was behind. He was there with Stetson. He wasn't even playing.
He's a true freshman.
Right, because it was Beck, then Vandergriff. And then when Beck went on, Vandergriff was the backup. And then he was the third string.
I'm so glad we don't talk about him this year.
We will.
No, that's interesting.
Hired a GA at Georgia.
Who, Vandegrift?
Yeah.
No, Vandegrift's he's going the George Foreman route. He's becoming a preacher. You didn't know? That's being serious.
No, I didn't know that actually.
Seriously, Vandegrift quit football because he wants for his faith. I'm not joking. Like, apparently that's real.
Man. No, I did not know that.
Hats off to him. That's why I say he's going the George Foreman route. George Foreman quit boxing so he could become a preacher. And make some good grills. Okay, so indoor, by the way, makes a heck of a grilled cheese. Heck of a grilled cheese. Will, do you want to pick up where you left off last segment?
No. Well, no. But I mean, I guess I have 2.
Okay, go ahead.
Just because I think, just like I said before, just because the expectation is so high, and Hugh Freeze has to make a step forward, I would not be surprised if Jackson Arnold loses his job. But my other one should really rephrase the question: which QB will lose their job? Zach Calzada. That Joker. First of all, I have
it's personal.
so much disdain.
I should have seen this coming, honestly.
Because just his year just hanging out at Auburn, just didn't want to play. And so, but I've got it's personal, I guess. But
are you saying he loses to Cutter Boley?
What is
I
that?
don't know who the backup is.
That was Kentucky's freshman quarterback last year that played a good bit. His name is Cutter Boley. He is from Hodgsonville, Kentucky.
What?
Cool.
That would be who the backup would be this year. I'm just asking.
No, he'll be the starter. He'll be the starter. Yeah, sure. He lit it up at Incarnate Word. Congratulations. It's far cry from the SEC.
It is. It is. Far cry from the SEC. Far cry from the Southern Conference. I mean, I don't even think he could have hung with Mercer, to be honest with you. Reggie just says how it is over in the comments. Gavin says not moved. What quarterback could lose their job? Okay, so I am going to start off, and I'm going to stay with the paycheck here. No, I'm just kidding.
There's
no
shot.
There's no shot I'm going that. I think Marcel Reed could lose a starting job. Is that crazy?
Who would it be to?
I don't know. I just don't think he's great. Like he can run, right? Like the guy can run. But if he's just like if they just kind of topsy turvy, because remember they had 40 different quarterbacks at one point play last year. It felt like. I mean, they had God, what was the kid's name that couldn't move at all? He was a statue in the pocket. Played against LSU.
Hunter Wegman.
Wegman's at Houston now, playing for Willie Fritz, by the way. And okay, Jacob Zeno from UAB, 8th-year senior. Good God.
12th-year senior.
Get a job.
That's
front runner for
brutal.
the Get a Job Player of the Year award.
Miles O'Neal is another quarterback. It's a redshirt freshman for them.
Guys, what if A&M just kind of sputters offensively? Like, what if they're just okay, and it's just lackluster? Do you make a change? I think Marcel Reed could lose the starting job. I just don't know if he's a dynamic thrower of the football.
If your number 2 option is Jacob Zeno, you are not planning on changing quarterbacks.
That's also true.
I mean,
you're 1A, and we're riding that to the end of the season type of deal.
Yikes!
I mean, Marcel Reed better not be able to stand if they're going to change quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's kind of where I sit with it. That's where I sit with it. Good stuff, though. Good stuff, fellas. Hey, we appreciate you tuning in. Wednesday night, going to be a fun one. ACC quarterback rankings. There's about 5 good ones, and then just pick and draw out of a hat after that.
Should I go ahead and give you number 18? I'm just kidding.
Don't sleep on Eli Holstein. I kind of forgot about him when I was looking at the rankings, by the way. And
hey, been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
Been there, done that, got yelled at by the one YouTube content creator that covers Pitt. So there's that, right? No, it's good stuff. Hey, appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you like the channel. Make sure you subscribe as well. And listen, we'll be live on Wednesday night. We'll have other content coming here soon as well, and some awesome opportunities happening in the first month of April. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Big things.
First month of April. April's a long time.
Yeah, the first month of April. Did I say the first month?
You said
April
first
is
month of
season,
April.
right? Shout out section 103. Yes, shout out section 103. Expanding their collegiate apparel brands and Underdog as well. Let's play the ad because we didn't play that. Shout out to our friends over at Underdog. Tired of the old, outdated way of playing fantasy? It's time to try Underdog Fantasy. If you want to make some picks on your favorite sports, check out Underdog Fantasy Pick'em game, where you choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your initial entry. Make sure to use code CROWDED when you sign up, so you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Think you know ball better than us? Don't miss out on this great offer and compete against the crew to showcase your knowledge today. All right. We appreciate it. Lots of just great stuff. And what a great last comment there as well. That's just fantastic there by Reggie. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much for watching. This is the Crowded Booth. He's Will Mannis. My name is Bryce Koon. That's Ralph Leary. We will see you Wednesday night. Same time, same place. See you then.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.